Let's do it, y'all. Casey and the Rabbi and Casey. Pop in those earbuds for some nice conversation. The Rabbi is an expert in the Mosaic Law.
Casey's strong and generous, smart hands. This is definitely your mother's writing.
So won't you join us for a real swell time? We gon' talk about whatever comes to mind. Let's go.
Have a good show.
Hello, folks. I'm Casey O'Rourke.
And I'm Rabbi David Gerber. We're so glad to be back after a unusual New Orleans snow break.
We've been through a lot of weather. I mean, we're used to wind, but we had over a foot of snow. Oh, this is Casey and the Rabbi.
Yeah, that's right. Casey and the Rabbi.
Episode 8 and...
The Phantom Menace. No, that's not it.
I think that was...
3, I don't know.
Who knows? But the Chronicles of Casey and the Rabbi continue. And yeah, it was a historic snowfall.
Historic snow. I was going to tent in my yard. I was going to camp in my yard with my big, Arctic snow dog.
Right.
But he was afraid of the tent. I was in the tent like an idiot. And
Come
he
on, buddy.
was laying on the sofa on the patio, and so I took the tent down. And
Did he?
inside.
What is it, like a husky kind of breed?
He's a Anatolian Shepherd / Chow.
I told you. Turkish.
We'll put a picture up.
Yeah,
you can
pop that.
band it.
I like it.
He loved it.
Oh, he must have loved it.
He loved it. My kids loved it.
See, I didn't love it because I didn't prepare. I was like, oh, it's gonna be a couple of flakes and it'll be done. But I was like, I couldn't leave or do anything. So it was my birthday last Sunday, and so my lovely mother Jan, she made a meatloaf, and I was like, well, I'll just
Survive off the meatloaf.
So, yeah, but 3-day-old meatloaf.
You were foraging in the yard like squirrels and
Exactly. Roots and berries.
I can survive on berries for at least 2 more days.
Mom, meatloaf. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, historic snowfall, and that's a strange phenomenon. And I think that today is also, we're talking about strange phenomenon. If you want to introduce the big idea.
Yeah, the big question of the day, the big idea is something that I think is very common in the Bible, but we don't necessarily talk about it too much, which is all of the biblical characters tend to be very extremely flawed people.
Right.
And we don't talk about that enough because, when we think about our heroes and our idols, we think of how great they are, but we don't often think about what their problems are.
Yeah, I mean, you think a hero, you think a Superman, he's invulnerable. I mean, maybe kryptonite, but the hero, the heroic ideal is somebody that's almost flawless, or somebody that doesn't have these foibles. But some of the biblical characters, that not characters, but people that God chose, they have moral failings, and I think it draws us closer to be like, wait, hold on a second, these people are just like us, and we can relate to that. And as a Dr. John song, right place, wrong time, I feel like the theme is almost like right place. I was in the right place with the wrong guy, so.
Yeah, go from Adam and Eve all the way through the end of the what we call the Hebrew Bible, you call the Old Testament.
Right.
All the leaders have flaws.
Yeah.
And some of them are significant. And some of them, we think about Moses.
Right.
Who is the leader.
The guy.
He's, in our tradition, we call him Moshe Rabbeinu, RL. He's the greatest of the great. Never again did there arise a prophet like Moses. But when God called to Moses at the burning bush, God said, go to Pharaoh and say, let my people go, represent my people. And Moses said, they're not going to listen to me.
Kid.
Yeah. He had a stutter. He was slow of speech.
Sorry.
And his first response was, you got the wrong guy.
Right. Did Moses, did he know he was an Israelite? I mean, when he, because he saw the Egyptian soldier attacking the man,
yeah.
he killed the guy.
So this is one of the things that most people don't know because it doesn't come across in the movie.
Right.
Which is
Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt, Ten Commandments, that weird one with Christian Bale.
Oh, that's a weird one, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't come out that when Moses was sent afloat in the basket, his sister Miriam was watching him, and she followed him down the river. And when the Pharaoh's daughter found Moses, Miriam said to the Pharaoh's daughter, that's a Hebrew child. Do you want me to get a Hebrew mother to suckle the child?
Really?
And Miriam actually goes to get their own mother. So Moses is raised by his own mother in Egypt.
I'm assuming the mother knew that was Moses, right?
Uh-huh.
Because
And so here's the kicker. So later on, when Moses sees the two the two people fighting, and he goes to break up the fight,
right.
He doesn't say Moses saw two Hebrew slaves fighting. He says Moses saw his kinsmen fighting. So he knew he was a Hebrew all along.
So I was under the impression that he killed a Egyptian.
He did eventually.
Oh, but he killed a...
No, he broke up a fight.
Once, right?
He broke up a fight.
He broke up a fight, but he's like, he had an affinity.
But he said, he went out. Oh, and he saw. It says, I saw a Hebrew beating his kinsmen.
Right.
So he knew he was a Jew the whole time.
Right.
And that, in the movies, he grows up as a prince of Egypt, but that's not really supported by the Torah.
Right.
So this is taken a different direction. But in terms of the flaws of Moses, I think what's most beautiful about this is when Moses says to God, "They won't listen to me. I'm slow of speech."
Right.
God doesn't magically or through miracle fix Moses' speech.
Right.
He says, "Take your brother, Aaron,
Interesting.
and he will speak for you."
Right.
Which is this powerful message when we have our own shortcomings, when we have our own challenges, we don't have to overcome them by ourselves.
You can ask for help.
You ask for help sometimes, and you don't even have to look up for help. You can look out for help.
Now, was Aaron raised in the same household? Was he an Egyptian prince too?
No, Aaron was raised.
So how did Moses know that, like, how did he meet up with his brother? Like, how did he meet Aaron? Or
Google Maps.
You're my brother. You're my kinsman. That's amazing. And so the imperfections, and I mean, like you're saying too, it's almost like every character. I'm even thinking of, just kind of popped in my head how Abraham and Sarah, I mean, they were well past the age of having kids, you know?
But even before that, Abraham, who was told by God that a whole generation would praise his name, before he had kids, he was afraid that the Pharaoh was going to kill him. So he kept on kind of selling his wife as a prostitute, which is frowned upon in our tradition.
Right. You got to do what you got to do. But yes,
but yeah, I mean, that's a flaw. Not having the faith that God would protect Abraham and Sarah, or even not having faith in the Egyptians that they wouldn't just steal his wife.
Wasn't she like, Sarah was like a very attractive lady?
Beautiful lady.
I mean, but she was, so they were relatively young when they...
Well, it says for her age, even for her age, she was very beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I do recall a passage where, so God and an angel visited Abraham in like a tent or something like that?
Yeah, the entrance of the tent, Abraham had just... By the way, if anybody's looking for... If you don't have faith, Abraham he's called the father of Judaism for a reason.
Right.
He, at a very advanced age in his life, took it upon himself to circumcise himself with a rock. So ask yourself, like, what would get you to do that?
What's the level of commitment?
It would take God telling me to do that to convince me.
I mean, that's so true. And maybe, I mean, you know, the Lord works in mysterious ways, and that is such an interesting illustration of that. It's almost the thing that I love about reading the Torah, the Bible, everything. It's like God has a sense of humor. I mean, I don't know why circumcision was a thing to identify. Do you know?
You think it's like a big prank that God is.
Well, it's almost like
let's see if I can get these guys to
kill yourself. But yeah, chop that off. But it's almost just like it's very interesting to be like, you're right. Like, that is such a, I mean, wow, what more of a commitment can you have? And he was the son of an idol maker, right? His dad was making idols and stuff.
It's a great story. So
Abraham's great.
So in the Torah, it doesn't say anything about Abraham's childhood, but there's a midrash, there's a commentary that says that Abraham's father was an idol maker, and one day
Jerusalem idol.
He was the Simon Cowell of ancient Babylon.
I don't think Dagon's doing this.
You're pitchy.
You're not pitchy. Your fish head's not working there.
So Abraham, when his dad's out of the shop, he smashes all the idols except one. And when his dad gets back, Abraham says, I didn't do it. This idol did it. And Abraham's father's like, an idol doesn't have that power. And Abraham's like, yes.
Yeah, there
exactly.
you go.
Exactly.
So I guess, wow, not to get sidetracked, but we do like getting sidetracked.
This whole podcast is one big side.
It's just one sidewinder. But that is interesting. I mean, broken idols, broken people. And I think that, a lot of people have this idea about religion that you got to be like holier than thou, or that people are held on a pedestal. And it's almost like, I like to call it, just growing up in the Catholic faith, that like the good Catholic, mentality, where it's like, you're so nice in church, but watch out for the parking lot because they'll cut you off. You know what I mean? They're getting Dunkin' Donuts or Tasty Donuts. Like so it's like, and it's almost in the New Testament, especially, that's something that Jesus really emphasized, was the performative aspects of faith. He's like, it's not about the letter of the law. It's about the, what do you call it? Like the spirit of the law.
Yeah, the spirit of the law.
So that was his big thing. And talk about broken people. I mean, when Jesus was assembling, I almost think of it like an Ocean's 11 type situation. You got Peter. I mean,
Jesus is 12.
Jesus 12, yeah. So, I mean, the people that he got were, tax collectors who were, working for the mob, the Romans. Everybody hated him. I don't know the names, but like Peter, there were fishermen, they're illiterate, he just had undesirables, and he surrounded himself with these people, and they were like, we don't know. And what's interesting about the New Testament is they had a feeling about Jesus, but they were looking at him from the warrior, Messiah. They wanted him to be the guy that's going to, you're going to come and overthrow Rome, right? And the whole thing was like, no, it's the kingdom of heaven. It's inside you. Like, I'm going to bring the kingdom of heaven. That was Jesus's message, essentially, was that the kingdom of heaven is inside of all of us, and it's all of us connected, and we have to work to build a better world with that. So, but through using these flawed people, and his best friend betrayed him. Judas was his boy. And it's just really interesting that in all these things, I guess the main message is that if you feel like you're maybe not good enough to do something, that Jesus, the Lord God, he works in mysterious ways, and you're it's like that Japanese thing where the broken pottery, where they put the gold in there,
Yeah, it is a powerful lesson that often gets lost. That why does the Torah go out of its way to tell us about all these flaws, that people had short tempers, that they were blinded by rage or jealousy? I mean, it gives us hope. We're not supposed to be perfect.
Yeah.
We're supposed to make mistakes. We're supposed to doubt and question and challenge. And if there were times when Moses questioned faith. I mean, Moses
broke those tablets.
We broke the tablets. We could talk about that. We could do an episode on that.
That would be so fun.
But there's a good Talmudic tradition about why Moses did that, and it was actually an act of protection. But
it was a what?
It was an act of protection
for him.
For the people.
Really?
Want to get into it now?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So Moses goes up, he gets the tablets, and the first commandment says that there's one God.
Nobody else.
And do you know the biblical punishment for idol worship?
Death?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's death. It's not like a stern talking to.
You did.
Death. So Moses comes down from the mountain and sees all the people worshiping an idol.
Golden calf.
Golden calf.
Golden corral.
And golden corral.
Wait a second. Maybe we'll do a conspiracy segment later.
Okay. Love me some golden corral.
It's great.
Moses. Okay. So Moses gets down there. He's got these laws in his hand that say that if you are worshiping a false god, they'll be put to death.
Rare.
And the entire community is worshiping a false god.
He's having a ball.
So Moses figures that if Moses gives them this tablet, they'll be obligated under the laws and thus immediately put to death.
If Moses gives them the tablet because they're currently worshiping a false idol, here's the law, right?
Yeah. So there's a rabbinic tradition that says that Moses, the two traditions, one says that Moses broke the tablets because he knew that as soon as he gave it to them, God would have no choice but to put them to death.
Rules are rules.
The other thing it says was that when the people came down, they wanted the tablets. They recognized how valuable they were. So Moses wanted to bring them back up, and the people were pulling it the other way, kind of like a tug of war.
Yeah.
and the tablets broke from the tug of war, and the letters flew off the tablets and went back up to the mountain. But yeah, there's a whole theory, rabbinic theory, that Moses did it just to protect the people.
That is so interesting. These 10 commandments. The history of the world and Mel Brooks.
There's Spaceballs 2 is in production. You know that?
Really?
Yeah, Josh Gad.
We're big. Really?
Yeah.
He's good. Well, we're big Mel Brooks us here at the podcast. But that's fascinating. And, maybe even to intertwine, music into it, one of my favorite Bob Marley songs is Cornerstone, where I think I'm pretty sure it's in the Bible. The stone that the builder refused will always be the head cornerstone. That might be a New Testament.
I think it's in yours.
It might be mine.
Yeah.
But that's a very, the people that are rejected, along with the disciples and the apostles, Jesus' best friend was, Mary Magdalene, who was essentially a prostitute, and so there's a specific scene in the New Testament where they had no money, and somehow they had, she had this really expensive perfume that they used, anoint bodies and stuff like that. And she was using it, and the apostles were like, we're broke, and you're using it to, do something. I'm getting this totally mixed up. But anyway, Jesus was like, let the woman do what she wants. If this is her act of honor, and yeah, we don't have any money, but it's not about that. It's about, the little things that you could give. That is more important than, a rich man can give $1 million. It won't affect him. But for a poor person, even if they can just give, I think, there was levels of temple sacrifice. If you couldn't do a goat, you could do a, it's not a grain of sand.
Yeah. It goes along with building the tabernacle, the roaming temple from the desert. Some people had to bring gold. Some people brought dolphin skins. Some people brought yarn.
Yeah.
And whether you brought the gold or the yarn, one has no more value than the other, because without the yarn, the temple doesn't exist. And without the gold, the temple doesn't exist. So it just brings us back to that message that if we feel broken, or if we think we have shortfalls or issues, it doesn't preclude us from greatness, and it doesn't take away from our significant role in the community.
Yeah, and I feel like God, throughout the history of the stories, it's like God meets Israel, and then later on everyone else, he meets them where they are. It's like he knows that people are fallible, and that's kind of part of the deal. It's like we're half material and we're half, spiritual beings. I don't know the correct breakdown, but we're not angels. We're flesh and blood. So animated we're in the image of God. Right?
So this could be a good transition to our next topic.
Okay.
Which is the terrors of the Torah.
Bum, bum, bum. And yes, we're talking about almost the spooky side of...
Yeah, people liked the spooky stuff from the last time.
Let's get into it, sure.
So you mentioned the world created in the image of God.
That's right.
And we, as the Jewish people, took that literally. That everything God can do, we can do, at least to some extent.
Okay.
And one thing that God does in the Torah is create a man from clay from the earth.
Adam.
Adam means
we know
dirt. We're dirt people.
Just mud folks.
So the theory was, if we can do anything that God can do, we should be able to create a person from mud.
Oh, sounds a little prideful.
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess they've skipped the fact that we actually can create people. It's like,
yes,
biologically we.
Right. Why don't you just do it the old-fashioned?
That's where people come from.
Right.
But they were convinced they could create one from the earth. So they took this verse from, I think it's from the book of Isaiah, that gives us the term golem. Which is kind of an unformed mess of a person. And so there's a book called the Sefer Yetzirah, which is an ancient book that tells you how to make a golem. Basically, you construct this golem out of clay, and in some traditions, you recite certain blessings and it will come to life. In some, you write the word emet on its forehead. Emet means truth. And what the golem does is it's meant to protect the Jewish people. And just like a copy of a copy isn't so great,
right,
the golem is like a copy of us. Like we're the copy, making a copy.
It doesn't have like a spirit, or it's not.
Doesn't have a spirit. But in all these golem stories, the most famous being the golem of Prague,
Okay.
the same thing happens. The golem is created, it protects the people, it usually falls in love with a girl,
Okay.
and then it has to be put down.
It's like a Frankenstein.
So Frankenstein is based on the golem.
Oh, wow.
And the word emet, and we can put this on the screen if you're watching this, emet, to stop the golem, you just erase the first letter of emet, which is an aleph, and you're left with the word met, which means death.
Meet the Mets, greet the Mets. Yeah.
Yeah, Mets.
The
That's a
Mets,
good
and
name
that's
for
why
the
they're
Mets,
terrible.
'cause they're-
Oh, did they win the World Series?
No, they're awful.
I'm not with base. So I guess so. It wasn't like a nefarious thing. They were building. I mean, it's almost like the Tower of Babel thing again. It's like once again we want to exalt ourselves or like build. We had kind of a different take on that, but still, it's like you said, they're trying to. We're in the image of God. Why can't we just?
Yeah, it was. All these things like the Sefer Yetzirah and even the concept of messianism all comes in a time when Jews are oppressed,
Right.
and we're looking for a savior.
Right.
This is where Superman comes from.
That's right.
Because we talked about Superman earlier. Superman was written by Jews who were just envisioning somebody that could protect the Jews from the Nazis.
It was, Jerry Siegel. Siegel and. Sorry, I don't remember the other guys.
I can't remember either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's why a lot of superheroes are Jewish. They're written by these Jews who didn't have the ability to defend our people, and so they create superheroes who could. And the golem, actually, the Simpsons did a great golem episode in one of the Treehouse of Horrors. Yeah.
So what time period was this? Was this like kind of during the pogroms, like Russia, Ukrainian?
Yeah,
This was like in like
1800s. So in Prague, there's a rabbi named Yehuda Low who is famous for creating the golem of Prague. You can see statues of the golem. They all look kind of similar. And actually, the I'm telling you, the Simpsons episode does it the best.
Were they like bigger, like a Frankenstein,
Big
larger?
monsters made of cloud. They had they just had kind of a weird, like almost like Dutch haircut. But in the Simpsons one, and this is a correct version of the golem, you would put a task in its mouth, and we place it in its mouth, and then it would do the task.
So it would. How could you destroy a golem?
Well, you would have to.
You erase the.
Or you could put a message in its mouth to self-destruct, like the Terminator.
This is.
Oh wait, the Terminator cannot self-destruct.
Remember? It's got to be melted down.
It melts down.
Well, how did T1 die? He got melted down too. This is Terminator 2.
Terminator 2. Remember, Arnold Schwarzenegger said, "There's still one more chip," and then he said, "I cannot self-destruct."
He was a golem.
So John Connor had so this doesn't make sense about Terminator.
No,
are you familiar with the Terminator world?
I mean, to be honest with you, my formative when I was not a child. I mean, but my formative years, T2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I was all about that. So I never really saw the first one, so I don't.
Yeah, the kid John Connor in Terminator 2. I think in the chronology he's supposed to be like 8 years old.
Oh, really? Was he born in Terminator 1 or no? Not yet.
He was born as a result of Terminator 1.
Did the Terminator create? No,
the guy that they sent back.
Yeah, Gene Jacket.
Yeah,
I think it's
Gene
Jacket. Yeah. Well, okay. So John Connor, come with me if you want to live. The Terminator may be a golem, but we don't have to dwell on that. But so that's the terror of the
That's a good terror of the Torah.
Terror of the Torah.
And if you want more terror of the Torah, let us know.
We're gonna hit you up on if TikTok still exists. We're gonna pop that on.
It still exists.
Yeah. All right, it's back, baby.
Yeah.
Nice. Fantastic. Well, and that's something. And maybe next time, there's so many interesting things, little hidden things, little gems in the Bible, and we're just gonna uncover for you. We're just gonna show you those gems. It's gonna be great.
So I don't have any. We don't have any ads today.
No ads.
But I thought of kind of a fun game. Based on, I've been researching podcasts. Podcasts see what does well and what doesn't do well.
Trial and error.
The things that get the most views, it seems, are the people who say the dumbest, most outrageous things.
Well, we just compared Terminator to. We're close.
No, we got to get way dumb.
I guess that's stupid. Yeah.
So I thought of a game called "Can I Blow Your Mind for a Second?"
Okay.
Because that's how it always starts.
Okay.
Can I blow your mind for a second? And then the way the game would go is one of us says that, and then the other person has to give them like the most outrageous thing they could think of, and then they have to explain us like
Okay.
Like, do you want to try it?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
So you gotta say it.
Can I blow your mind for a second?
Okay. The topic is dinosaurs never existed.
And then have to respond.
You have to tell me what really happened to dinosaurs.
It's pretty simple. I mean,
Do the whole thing.
So we started for this.
Pretend like you're about to say the most like serious thing in the world.
Interject?
No, you just go on. Why?
I'd make him a story.
Yeah.
All right. And so you want to start again? And scene. I mean, we're not going to cut him saying like.
Yeah, they're going to see this whole process.
No, yeah.
It's important for y'all to be part of
We're
the
just cutting. We're,
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, let's go.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
What's the crazy topic I just talked about?
I got to give you a talk. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's got to be indefensibly stupid.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm not following. I get it. Let's do the
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but now I know the dinosaur things.
Can I blow your mind for a second?
Sure.
Dinosaurs never existed.
They never exist. Well, of course they never existed.
This is what the government is trying to keep from us.
I mean,
So let me tell you,
okay.
the dinosaurs that they think they found,
Yeah.
they were placed there by underground mole people,
The mole money.
and this is all an effort to keep us from uncovering this underground mole people society.
That's what I heard because
This is a fact.
this is
You can read about this.
really.
Yeah.
Because there's a level of strata where it's like you have the dino bones. We're not going to dig past that and find. The mole men are trying to, create.
I mean, think about it. Does it make sense, a dinosaur?
No, they're dragons.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make
Dragons?
sense. Dragons. Stop.
This is a theory. The government, the deep state's behind this.
Of course, I mean, they're behind everything.
Yeah.
So
now you know the truth.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I blow your mind?
Yeah.
I am not only on a plant-based diet, I solely get food through photosynthesis. I create food.
I've read about this.
Yeah, I have chlorophyll.
More
like chlorophyll. This segment.
So you're on a completely photosynthesis based diet.
I am a plant. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How is that going for you?
That's bad. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: with this kind of diet, do you need a bathroom?
How did plants?
Do you photosynthesize out?
I think it's a spore. It is
Spore?
Yeah, spores. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like a mushroom. I just kind of release spores stuff.
Kind of like those dandelions with the little.
Yeah. It's like,
That's amazing.
that's great. It's great.
Yeah. Where does somebody go to learn more about a photosynthesis based diet?
I think you can Instagram or YouTube our channel, Casey and the Rabbi. You can check that out. And there's more fun facts. We know the truth, and the truth is out there. So
That's right.
we want to share it. Well,
My mind's blown.
my mind's blown. That was interesting. I mean, dinosaurs and human photosynthesis.
So, I mean, that's how the mole people live too, because they don't have food down there.
I mean, but the sunlight's hard, so they have to.
Right.
They figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I guess for our last segment, to bring it back to, my roots, Catholicism, I thought we could do a little thing called confessional.
Go ahead, my son.
Yes.
We don't do that, by the way. We don't have confessional in the
You
rabbinate.
just go straight to
It'd be fun.
people. Well,
if we did.
I can see people like getting weirded out by it, but there's something nice about it.
Catharsis.
It's a free therapy too, So it's
So this segment is a confession
it's
of like a guilty pleasure.
a guilty pleasure. Yeah, it's just about we're not revealing deepest, darkest secrets here, but it's a confession about. So for me, I am a musician. I've been a professional musician for 20 years, and sometimes people get a little snooty, a little snotty, and they think that music has got to be like highfalutin jazz or the classical stuff, or I play in a funk band, like I can't like certain things. Well, guess what, world? I can. And I have a guilty pleasure. And I think that one of the greatest pop songs ever written was by the Cardigans from the Romeo and Juliet movie. And it's called Love Fool.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a like, love me, say that you love me, fool me. I don't know what that is, but it's a great song. And the reason why it's constructed, do you mind if
Let's do it.
can I do a sample?
So Casey's going to go over here while Phil, our producer, adjusts the camera to go up so we can see Casey. So we're going to start introducing some music into this.
We're going to inject it, like the Cajun flavor injector. That's a
Yeah.
product for Thanksgiving. So The woman who sings it, it's just a great voice, and it's also got
Vanessa Cardigan.
Was that really?
No, who knows? But it's very catchy. It's got a great little disco beat. I'm not going to replicate that. But what I want to show is the turn in the song, which makes it so cool to me. And it's a guilty pleasure, and I guarantee you, folks out there are cranking it whenever it comes on. So if you don't know it, here's how it goes. It said, "Dear, I fear we're facing a problem. You love me no longer. I know that. Lately there is nothing that I can do to make you stay. Mama tells me I shouldn't bother, that I ought to stick to another person. That surely deserves me, but I think you do." So it's all sad, bam, bam, bam. It's like, so I cry, I sing, and I pray. Here's the hope. It's like, love me, love me. Sorry, I can't find it. Love me, say that you love me. I don't know. This is the wrong
version, but what I'm saying is it's such a sweet pop song. That's my confession. It's not world shattering, but it's it's a good one. It's a good one. It was the wrong version. Anyway, Rabbi, do you have something you wanted to?
Well, yeah.
To get off your chest, I'm here myself. Yeah.
So this isn't a confession, but when you said you want to talk about Love Fool, there's something that's been eating me up inside for decades, which is, I think the word fool is the word most used in songs that is never used in real life.
You never really hear fool. Yeah.
Have you ever called someone a fool?
It kind of it's not. It kind of hurts if you do. You fool. Yeah. You don't hear it enough, so it's like
nobody ever used the word fool. Nobody ever says that they were fooled or that's foolish. But every song, like there's the Fool on the Hill, the Fool in the Rain.
I've heard a song called "Fool for You."
Fool for You. There's a ton of fool.
There's a lot of fool for you.
I'm such a fool for you.
That's
Cranberries. There's Fool, Love Fool.
Yeah.
Fool. I would bet that fool is the most used word in music that is absolutely never used in real life.
Yeah. It's foolish fool. There's a Shaka Khan song. I think. That is true. I don't really. That's a confession. That's like a revelation.
Yeah. I just want to put it out there that
why is that? It's a kind of a good insult. Like, I like saying dunce,
Dunce.
I'll call people dunce, and they're like, what? It's just one of those things where it's almost, you can go with the head hitters, but you can come at somebody like, oh, you're a fool. Or maybe I've heard you being like foolish, but it's almost like an older, like somebody on wouldn't see like you're foolish,
Yeah. But think, you could list songs with "fool" in the title or "fool" in the lyrics all day long.
All day. Even like what do you call it? A colloquialism like "fool me once" or something. But it's not said regularly. You know what I mean?
No.
Are there any like prominent fools in the Jewish tradition that we could think of? Not this guy. I
don't know. It's like it's kind of a playful word at times.
It can be. Yeah. It's a fun fool. Yeah. I'm trying to think of
people are always fooled in songs. They're foolish in songs. They're fools for people.
Yeah, foolish, my foolish heart.
How weird would it be if you said, "I'm a fool for you"?
I am a fool for you. You made me stupid for you. I guess it makes sense. Yeah. So, I mean, we can
bring it back. Like last time we introduced the term "biffed it," which my kids use all the time, which I love.
I like biff. That's great. Yeah, Tiffany, yeah.
I make something bad for dinner, my kid will say, you biffed it.
You biffed it. Do your kids call you Rabbi? They just call you Dad.
Yeah.
Rabbi Dad?
Yeah. No.
They don't call him Rabbi.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So were rabbis always allowed to marry? I mean, that was...
Yeah, this is, if I may humbly offer a critique to the Catholic faith.
Let's get into it.
Your religious leaders who for centuries have been the smartest among you. Traditionally,
it depends on those errors.
You cut off their gene line. You cut off their descendants.
It's all about real estate. the problem is, it really is. I mean, if priests get mad, like that's actually what happened, was because Peter, the disciple, the apostle of Jesus, he was married. All of the apostles were married. There's a whole scene where they have to go to, they're all hanging out at like Peter's mother-in-law's house, and she's like, "Get out of here!" They were they're a bunch of rebels, and so yeah, everybody was married. It was all cool, and
I think in our lifetime,
yeah.
that will be reversed.
I don't mean, it really is about real estate, because it got to a point where there were popes were having kids and mistresses and stuff. And, and look, the Catholic Church gets a lot of heat for, I mean, obviously there's been some horrifying things, but anytime you put a human structure around spirituality or just a pure thing, it's going to get corrupted. Now, like, believe me, I'm just saying that, like, every organization has.
But even, I mean, for me as a preacher, as a spiritual caregiver,
yeah,
like, it helps me to help couples who are getting married, because I know what marriage is like.
Exactly.
And it helps me to handle issues with students or school, because I know what dealing with kids is like. I mean, it's I mean, the issues of old are not there. Like, I don't imagine many priests would have mistress problems.
No, I mean, I don't know how Protestants, work it out, but, I totally agree. I mean, I think that it is one of those things, but I have, I went to a Catholic all boys school, and we had a handful of brothers, it was called Brother Martin was a school, and it still exists, but, and talking to them, it's interesting. Like, they don't view it as like they're losing anything. They view it as like it's just a higher commitment. But I mean, at the same time, life is about, I mean, different strokes for different folks, but like having partnership is a big part. And we work, go fruitful and
multiply.
Yeah. Get out of here, kids. But
yeah, 2,000 years, y'all have been, take your best ones and you just cut them out of the gene.
Well, it's only been about 300.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I'm telling you, priests can marry, like, ever since I think, I don't even get two blessings, but Jesus may have been married. I mean, it would be odd for a rabbi, because he was considered a rabbi, to not be married,
Yeah,
in
true.
that time and space. And I don't see why that would be an issue, but we don't need to get all that. But, so it was, but literally because of at the time of what was it called? Reformation. Because at that point, an interesting thing that people don't think of is, like, if you were, a Christian in Europe after the fall of the Roman Empire, you were Catholic. I mean, there was nothing else. I mean, so you're either a Jewish person, a Muslim, or a Catholic.
Yeah.
Christianity was Catholicism. And then,
well,
it split to Orthodox.
I'll just say this.
Sure.
If I'm elected Pope,
we're starting the campaign.
Priests can marry.
Let them have it. Let them have it. I don't see why not, but the theories that I have heard.
But I get to pick their wives.
Well, that's going to be a little sticky there, Rabbi. But no, I totally agree. And once again, like, speaking of just putting a human, I don't want to call it a cage, but like, even with music, I mean, like, I love music, you love music, but the music business is just, you hear these horror stories and stuff, and it's, it's just, anytime that people try to control something that's pure, like music, art, religion, spirituality, when you try to monetize it or whatever, that's when it gets weird.
Yeah.
And so it's always about, that's what I love about Gates of Prayer, is it always comes back to the community. Like, people are fallible. Once again, let's go full circle.
Sure.
People are fallible. You're going to make mistakes. There's got to be room for forgiveness, and there's got to be accountability too. So, it's about, you're trying to improve and try to be this heroic figure, but everyone's going to fall. And then you realize that the brokenness is just a part of life. And I feel like God can use anybody, and you can see that in the Bible.
So I've got a good closing blessing for
Let's do it, perhaps.
So there's a story in our tradition about a guy named Yuckel, who's a water carrier. And you know what water carriers do?
Carry water?
They carry water.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was given this task, and to do it, he would take two big, like clay bowls,
Jugs.
put them on a stick, put it over his shoulders, and he would walk down to the river, fill up with water, put it on his shoulders, and walk it all the way back to the village.
Okay.
And when he got back to the village the first time, he realizes that the vases were empty.
Huh.
And so he went back again, he filled up the bowls again, and he went back again, and they were empty.
Yuckle.
So he looked close and realized that there were holes, there were cracks in the vases. And so he went to the elders of the town and said, I'm proud to be the water carrier, but I can't bring any water to the village if these vases are cracked.
Yeah.
And so they said, sorry, you've got to use what you got.
Yep.
And so he goes back to the river again. He tries walking really fast to get there before the water leaks, but that just made it leak faster. So he tried walking really slow, and that just made it leak slower. And no matter what he did, he could not get the water back to the village. And so finally, after a year or so, he got dismayed, and he said to the elders, like, what's the point? What's this? It's a futile task, and I haven't brought a drop of water to the village.
Yeah.
And the elders said, well, look at the path you've been walking. And he turned and looked and noticed that along the path he walked every day, flowers were growing on each side. And he learned that his job was not to bring water to the village, it was to water the flowers.
Huh.
And so our tradition tells us that, we don't always get to pick what our role is. Sometimes we're given tasks based on the skills we have. And even if we're a cracked vase, it doesn't mean we can't water the flowers. And somebody who waters the flowers is as important as the person who brings water to the village.
Absolutely.
So, just like our ancestors, we are all cracked vases.
It's true.
Yet, we can all be impactful and spiritual people.
Yeah, and I think that, we're all a bunch of yuckles.
We're all yuckles.
We're all yuckles, and if you're doing it, you do it with a full heart and sincerity, then good things will come no matter what, and you'll turn around and see a beautiful garden. So,
all right, we've gone from Moses to Abraham to mole people to the Terminator to the cardigans.
Yuckle.
Yuckle the water carrier. We've covered a lot of ground today.
That's a good one. I mean,
big thanks to Phil, our producer.
Phil, love you, bud. Awesome. Well, once again, this has been the Casey and the Rabbi podcast, and yeah, we'll see y'all.
See you next week.
All right.